Welcome to another edition of Pet Matters. My name is Dorothy Claeys, and I'm the Executive Director of Francisville Home for Smaller Animals, which is located right here in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Francisville is one of the oldest continuously operating no-kill shelters in the United States, having been started in 1909. Our mission as we continue is to provide loving care to abandoned, unwanted, surrendered animals, and then to find them permanent homes. Today, we're actually zooming in from my offices here on Francisville. Today, I'd like to welcome my guest, Karen O'Rourke. She is the Executive Director of the nonprofit Stray Cat Relief Fund. Welcome, Karen, and thank you for joining me on an edition of Pet Matters.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm very excited.
Terrific. So what I wanted to do was ask you, how was your organization started? And if you could then, go into a little bit about what your mission is.
Sure. So the organization was started in 2011. I actually was not part of it at that time. I joined a few years later. And basically it was started because there were a colony of cats in Philadelphia, and they were trying to care for them the best they possibly could. And over the past 8 years that I've been involved, we have streamlined the process, going from the care of the cats were, kind of the hodgepodge of, some feeders would show up, some feeders didn't show up. And then we organized everything where there's a dedicated feeder every day for the colony cats. And we make sure that they are all altered, which, spayed and neutered for males is neutered, and spayed is for females. And just so everyone's clear on that. And if anyone needs medical attention, so if we see an injured animal, it is a process. Trust me, when you try to trap a feral cat, but we make it work, and we get the medical attention that they need. So, we really organized, our colony to make sure that, they are fed every day, and they do have proper shelters. And that's kind of how it all began for me. Was someone told me about the colony and how they really needed some help. And I said, oh, I can help. I can organize, and I'm really good at that. So I just kind of started that process. And then from that point, it's grown substantially. There's so many people that are involved now. I think the first year that I was involved, we helped 43 cats. And I think we'll be at like somewhere around, I'm going to say, between all of the things that we do, maybe 700-800. So, it's a substantial growth from when we started.
Right. This isn't your full-time job, correct?
It is not.
What do you do in your real job?
So I'm a project manager.
Okay.
So, yes,
definitely a labor of love.
Yes, it is. And it's really, it's been my passion and focus for the past 8 years. And, believe me, some days I'm like, I can't do this anymore. But then I look at all of the cats that need our help, and then I find the strength to keep on going and pushing forward, and, just making some changes, if we need to, streamline our process a little more, or how can we be better equipped to help more cats,
Right.
And education is a big part of it.
Right. So, I can relate to that, because I feel the same way sometimes at the shelter. It's like, oh my God, and I have to scoop some more poop. But one of the things that I think a lot of people are confused about, or become confused about, is the difference between stray cats and feral cats. So your organization specifically says stray cats. But a lot of people will, they'll see a cat outside and they'll immediately say, oh, that's a feral cat, or that's just a stray cat. And I think they don't understand the real difference. So could, for our audience, maybe you can explain the difference between, when you see the cats outside, how you can tell a feral cat from a stray cat.
Sure. There are a lot of abandoned cats in the city of Philadelphia, and basically people, get a kitten, they think it's really cute, and then, discard it when it becomes older. So those cats, we would typically call them stray cats that were, abandoned. They are already socialized. They can be, rescued and adopted out to a loving home. As far as a feral cat it has no socialization. It hasn't been touched since birth. Um, it's it's completely terrified of humans. So it's a really big difference between a stray and a feral. You're going to have to trap a feral cat. For a stray animal or an abandoned, we would call them like abandoned animals. That cat's going to come up to you and want some attention and some love because they did get that prior, and their so-called human decided to discard them for whatever reason.
Right. And I think one of the issues that we see is a lot of people will want to, once you trap a feral cat, but want them to become, a part of a domestic situation, or they want to bring them inside, and they want to, make them domesticated. And you really can't do that. And it's not a good idea. So I think that's now where, when you talk about the cat colonies, I'm assuming those colonies are really based off of feral cats. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, unfortunately, we also get a lot of people that dump their animals at our colony. So for those, we do rescue once we are alerted because we have, eyes on the ground at all times. So, we're alerted and we rescue that animal. But, for the most part, there might be some cats that are, we call them feeder friendly. So when we have food, they're coming up and they're rubbing against you, but you're not able to pick them up and snuggle them. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So with the cat colony, what makes a cat colony? How many cats? Or is there any rule on that, or is there?
There isn't, like, I mean, there are small colonies, like, people care for small colonies in the city of Philadelphia. We actually help a lot of the caretakers, provide them with some food, when they need it, or medical attention for one of their colony cats. So, I mean, a colony could be, as many as 200 and as little as, 3. So that really is, as long as they're spayed and neutered and, all of their basic needs are met, it's a colony. Provide them shelter, provide them with fresh water daily and food, wet food, dry food.
Right. Do you find that those particular cats in that colony stay in that location?
Oh, they do.
You wander?
No, I mean, like, so cats by nature, are very, they're used to I'm trying to think of the word. They're just, they're creatures of habit. So they are used to a certain area and they will stay in that area. They might wander a little bit, but within a 1 mile radius. That's basically what they do. They don't, so like if a cat's abandoned, at a colony that they don't know, they're gonna go try to get back to where they were before.
Right.
And then, in the process, that really doesn't provide for a good outcome.
Right. So regarding your organization's philosophy, you say that you're working to ensure that local communities are educated, engaged, and inspired to take action in their neighborhoods.
That's correct.
So can you expand on how you educate people regarding these issues and how you engage them to take part and to help out?
Sure. So we have met with some community groups, neighborhood group associations, just kind of showing them, the way, what's really important. You see an animal, that obviously, needs some care. The most important thing, again, is spay and neuter, spay and neuter, spay and neuter. I mean, I will say it all day long. But, we kind of, walk them through the process. Like, okay, you have cats on your street. Okay, you need help. Okay, we can provide you with the traps. We can help you get the appointment set up. We can show you how to make, feral cat houses, which, you can make with a Tupperware bin. Just really giving them that education and how important it is, to get them fixed so they're not overpopulating. So we are lessening the amount of kittens born into homelessness. I mean, that is truly our main goal. Like we get calls every single day and emails and IMs and every which way communications coming in. I have kittens in my yard, can you help? And we just rescued 9
Mm.
kittens and 1 mom
Oh,
last week. And I had them overnight just for an overnight stay, but I'm feeding little bottle babies, they're 4 weeks old until we got the mom the next day. But this was just one of the many calls that we get every day. So if people are actively participating in TNR and they're getting those cats fixed, it is really cutting down the population. And just having that knowledge, so many people don't know. They just don't know. They're not educated about it. They don't. I'm going to feed this cat, but I'm not going to get it, TNR. Well, that cat's going to continue to populate. So it just has to be, more education. We're trying to. I wish there was a platform where we could just go and educate, in the school districts and just say,
mhm.
hey, like this is, something in your curriculum and, talking about spay and neuter. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever come to be, but I mean,
What
I
a
would
great
love
idea. It's part of life, right? It's part of neighborhoods.
it. Is. I mean, it's more and more. I mean, there are 400,000 stray cats in Philadelphia. I mean, from the latest and greatest, information.
Right. And that was a staggering number when I read that on your website. I was like, I just couldn't believe it. That's incredible because that's one city. And I know that a lot of people, well, we get a lot of calls as you do, with someone who'll say, well, I found a kitten in my yard or I found a cat in my yard and I fed it and it came back. Of course it's going to come back when you start feeding it. Um, but in a situation like that, do you always have someone to send out to help a person, or do you really tell them over the phone, hey, this is what you should do? You can come and get a trap, or how does that really work?
So, I mean, we have our core group of volunteers, and some are local in the areas where we get the calls for, which are primarily like a South Philadelphia area because that's really basically where we started.
Mhm.
So, if it's someone that's elderly and doesn't have the capacity to trap a cat, we will send a volunteer out. Anyone else, we try to make them somewhat accountable. These are kittens or cats in your yard, so we need participation from you. So we just provide them with guidance. Some people will need a little more hand holding than others, and some people will just get it and go. But if we get an email about a situation, we provide them with a list of like, this is the things to do and not to do, and call us if you have any further questions. And then we go from there. But we don't have a group that is like, okay, we got a call, we're going to go out. It's we're all working full time, so we have limited. We love this cause and we want to help, but we also have limited time that we can go out and for these emergent situations. But more so, it's we send our volunteers out when there's a like an injured animal or a sick animal that really needs medical attention right away. So for those calls, we're usually sending a volunteer out.
And probably for kittens too, right?
For kittens, the last one we did have someone go out because it was so many kittens because there were 9 of them.
That's amazing,
Um,
by the way.
I'm sorry.
That's amazing. That's a lot. That's a big litter.
The big letter, yeah, and they're all really really cute,
Oh,
and
I'll bet.
they were from Webster Street, so they're all like W names
Oh,
like
I love it.
Winnie and Wyatt and Wolfie and
That's part of the fun, right? Of rescuing. You get to name all these animals.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So for just so we can define TNR just a little bit better. Um, some people may not be familiar with that term, and also who does your TNRs? Who does the actual spay and neuters? Do you have volunteer vets? Do you work with a certain group?
So, in right now, there's a voucher program in the city of Philadelphia. So there are participating clinics, which are Paul's Forgotten Cats, the Spade Club.
Mhm.
So we kind of, set up the appointments for. We go out and actually trap the cats. Our organization does mass trappings once a month. So we have one scheduled upcoming the end of this month, and we will be doing somewhere around 70 appointments. So we will be trapping about 70 cats.
So now you say like you do it once a month. So how do you know what location then to go to?
So we have a lot of people that, ask us for help. So, we have a laundry laundry list of, people that can't do TNR, or, or either they're elderly, or, they just don't have a vehicle. There's a multiple reasons why, they can't. So we get a list together, and before any of our trappings, we go through what list, what are our locations that we need to trap at, and then we organize, trappers to go to those areas and make sure the cats aren't fed prior to us trapping, so we have a better chance of trapping all the cats that need to be trapped.
So now is this like a specific location, or could it
Various.
vary over like many blocks in the city? And then
So, like, our primary focus is South Philadelphia, as I said.
Mhm.
We do trap in Southwest Philly as well. We've done multiple trappings there. We also have a another woman that does a great deal of work in North Philly, and we try to help her when we can, when we have capacity. So, we get calls for the Northeast, as well. We have, you know, we just kind of help whoever we can when we can. Even if we're not able to, we do send them as much information, for them to kind of help themselves.
Right. So now, for people who don't know, I mean, it's a pretty quick process, right? When once you trap them, the spay and neuter is done
Yes.
immediately,
Yes.
and then how long till they're put back on the street?
So, for the clinics that offer, like, it's called recovery, it's usually one day over, or one night of recovery. They're done in the morning. The surgeries are done in the morning, and then recovery is the next, is like into the next day, and then they can be released afterwards. But for TNR is trap, neuter, return, and it's really now called trap. It's trap, vaccine, neuter, return, I think, or TN, trap, neuter, vaccine, return. So they are vaccinated against rabies. They're boosters for FERCP. They're spayed and neutered, and they're given a flea treatment. So all that is part of, the package, so they're going back out the healthiest they can be. So
So is
they're
that
not
something new,
reproducing.
or is that something that only certain groups do?
So our group does it, obviously we have a voucher program, so we're not, the cost factor, it's very expensive to get cats, community cats spayed and neutered if you're paying for out of your pocket. They do have, various locations have specials they can run, like $35 feral fix it or something like that. But it's the cost factor, for a lot of people, there are a lot of people that don't have, extra money to spay and neuter a cat. So, in Philadelphia, it's great because there are voucher programs available. I just don't think that a lot of people know about them, or,
Can you
even
explain what
know
that
about.
is? Yeah, I mean, I'm not that familiar with that. Could you explain what the voucher program is?
So the voucher program is where you can take this voucher and make an appointment at one of the participating clinics that animal control in Philadelphia uses. So they're going to be starting back TNR as well, but they were on hold for a while. So the Paul's two locations, they are Grace Ferry and the Northeast on Grand Avenue.
Mhm.
The Spay Club is in Sharon Hill, and Forgotten Cats has two locations, Willow Grove and Trainer PI.
Okay. So they
So
can take
that,
this voucher and take it to one of those locations,
yes,
and it's how much of a discount would it be?
it's free, done,
Great. Oh, that's
free.
amazing. And
I mean,
how do people get these vouchers?
so they can either call animal control in Philadelphia and ask them what voucher programs do they have at this time,
Mhm.
or they can call Forgotten Cats or Paul's and say, is there any voucher programs available at this time? Because different people fund those vouchers. So like if it's say the MAC funds 200 surgeries, or
Right.
some not Philadoptables, or another organization funds these. So it's really that's kind of how you would label it. When you're bringing your cat in
Mhm.
for TNR, it's under this grant or that grant.
That's terrific. I mean,
Yeah, it's
I'm sure
amazing.
that people don't know about that. I mean, that's one of
They
those
don't.
things that would be so beneficial to so many people.
It definitely would.
Yeah. Now, your group, how many, or do you know this, I guess, how many colonies does your group monitor in the city?
So we have a main colony that we monitor. I mean, there's not as many cats as there once was when I first originally started.
Mhm.
We had like 200 plus cats. I think we're down to maybe 100, but that's our main colony. We don't manage any other colonies in Philadelphia. We just help the caretakers provide, some medical attention or food if they need, because some of the people are, on limited income and they don't have the funds to provide for the cats and they want to, it's just that they can't do it. So we'll drop off, cases of food, bags of dry food, cases of
Mhm.
wet food.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I read on your website something about shelter bill days. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. So we put a ton of new shelters in the colony that we manage quite some time ago, probably 7 years ago. Every season in the summer and in the winter, we will clean out the old straw and put in new straw and, wipe everything out, make it nice. And so we'll do that each season. So that's what our shelter build days are. So it's really like cleanup and, putting everything back and for the winter months, we also cover all of the shelters with tarps so that the cats have you know some barrier against the elements.
Hmm. And volunteers come and help with those types of things.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
We
Sounds
have. I mean, we have. Our organization does adoptions, does fostering. We kind of play on every single level. We manage a colony. We try to do as much education as we can. So, with I mean, we probably have between, our PetSmart location that we do our adoptions out of, our Pet Value location, all the volunteers from there, people that come and do, adoption days where we have events. And we probably have somewhere around 100 volunteers, and everybody does a different part. So, some people are main players and some people will do, maybe once a month or something like that. But we have
right.
a really great group of wonderful people that, really are dedicated to this cause and, they just want to, help and, they want to make a difference. And, I think the biggest thing is, again, education. And, if we can get that word out, like TNR, TNR, TNR.
So in addition to to that part of your organization, you also adopt out and have do you have a large foster network or
We do. We have, like, currently we have about, what was the number? I just like lost it. I had it up on my screen, but we're probably at somewhere around 80 plus cats in foster care right now,
wow, that's a lot.
which is most of them. I say half of them are kittens.
Now, do you have you post those on your website and then you also you do put them in these locations, these adoption locations?
So what we have found, through trial and error is, we really try to get the kittens adopted, like coming right from the foster home, right, and then go right to their new home. So we'll highlight them and put them up on our website, but we don't. We'll probably do something like, the adults, sometimes kittens, but more so than not, we've been really great about adopting our kittens out right from the foster home into their new home.
That's wonderful. And a lot of these kittens, have they come from trapping them or kittens that were on the street?
Yes,
Yes. And then that's the best time to take them in so then they won't become feral.
correct,
Correct.
correct.
Um, so do you serve you do serve all of Philadelphia though? If somebody called you and they were inside the city limits, or is there areas that you don't service?
So, I mean, we try to help anybody that sends us an email. If we can't physically go out to that location, we can provide, like, groups that are in that area.
Mhm.
So, like, there are certain organizations, cat groups, you want to call them, there's just a multitude of, places that they can kind of go and get help. So, but most of them are usually on like different Facebook groups, and so there's a ton of organizations that do go out and help. So if we
Right.
can't, we give them a laundry list of places that can help them.
We do the same. So are there any future plans for your organization? Or are
I
you,
mean, I would say just, trying to do more education, more advocacy. That's really where I want to take us, and just continue to help as many cats as we can.
right? I mean, that's a wonderful thing that you're doing. And it's become such a political issue, feral cats. I know, especially out here where I am in Radnor, at the town meetings, and people just have such strong feelings about it. But I think it's wonderful the work that you do.
Thank
Is there any story that you want to share that was really special?
So I want to say probably about 4 years ago, we rescued a litter of kittens at our colony. One of the kittens had deformed legs. And it's a condition that if they didn't have enough room in the womb to grow, the legs kind of, didn't form properly. So her name was Hope, and she's actually on our website in our stories, our success stories, and you can read a little bit about her. But after months and months of doctor visits and uh, care, and just with so much love from the foster family who ended up adopting her, um, the foster fails.
Yes, another foster fail.
Another foster fail. There's a lot of them.
We love those.
I mean, she doesn't look like a normal cat would, but she is completely functioning. She has a great life, a wonderful family, and she was our little superstar.
Oh, that's wonderful. And she can walk now, right? So
She
she can
can,
walk. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's terrific. And they're like, that's what makes you do the work you do, right? Things
for
like,
sure, for
yeah,
sure. We love those happy endings, those success stories.
we really do. Well, I'm sure we could talk many more things.
I'm
There's always
sure.
room to talk about cats and animals. But Karen, I want to thank you so much for sharing this important and interesting information and the work that your organization does. Um, if somebody wants to, I'm assuming that you still want volunteers and probably still need, donations and all of that. So how would someone contact your organization?
So it's straycatrelieffund.org.
Mhm.
And the email address is on our website. We have a Facebook page, which is Stray Cat Relief Fund. If you put us in the search bar, and on Instagram we are at Stray Cat Relief.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
Thank you.
and thank you all in the audience. Hopefully, everyone's watching. If you're and then don't forget, if you're looking for a new best friend, be sure to check out our website, francisvillehome.org, to see all of our adoptable pets, and please join our Facebook at Francisville Home. Till next time, this is Dorothy Claeys for Francisville Home for Smaller Animals. We are the shelter where every pet matters.